Hey everybody, it's Darlene Taylor, the Recycled Mom, and I'm coming at you today doing an 80s collab with Mommy and Mia Homeschool Chronicles. So thank you, Ingrid, for hosting this. The playlist link is down below in the description box, and I am excited to share just some of my memories and answer these questions that she gave us. So anyway, I tried to get some 80s vibe going on with hair and makeup and clothes. Of course, you know, I don't have anything that fits me anymore from the 80s. All right, here we go. Here's the questions. The first question is, what were your favorite toys and what were the worst toys? That decade of my life, I was 10 to 20 years old. Some of the things that I liked when I was that age and the early part of that decade were a Rubik's Cube. I really liked that. And of course, they're still around. My son has some that he plays with, and he'll actually play with both hands. You know, has one in each hand, and he'll do them with one hand. It's amazing. I loved Barbies. And didn't have a lot of Barbie furniture. I had just probably a couple Barbies. I had at least a Barbie and a Ken. And I had a Barbie camper, but I never had a lot of any other stuff. We just couldn't afford that. But I did have what I called my own 3-level townhome for my Barbies in a closet that my mom had coats on one side and there were shelves on another, and I took those 3 shelves that were like right here at eye level, and I made a 3-level townhouse and made my own furniture out of, you know, boxes and Kleenex boxes and that kind of thing, and just, you know, made all kinds of furniture for it. But I did have that. I had a Rubik's Cube, and I also had a spirograph. I don't know if anybody knows what that is. I think they still have it. So you've got your round circular piece that acts as a guide, and then you get different shapes to put in the middle of it, and it has teeth all around it, and so it'll grip. And you put a pencil in the plastic piece, and if you put it in different areas in there, you would make different designs, and there are little geometric shapes, and you come up with all these different designs. And I made so many things with that. I made a lot of Christmas ornaments, which I think my mom still has today. So loved the spirograph. As far as worst toys, I can't think of anything that I would say was a worst toy or a bad toy. I do remember there was a Cabbage Patch craze, and I remember some of my friends were really into that, and I couldn't get into it. I couldn't understand it. I guess I didn't get it. So I guess that might be a bad on my bad list. The next question is, what was your favorite music? What was the worst? I loved Michael Jackson. Beat it! Beat it! Okay. I liked a lot of Prince music. But I did like Van Halen and Whitesnake, so I kind of went, you know, I mean, I was more of whatever was playing on the pop radio station, you know, that was all the, you know, the current hits. I do have to say, though, that it's not like there wasn't a lot of music that I didn't like or didn't appreciate. I would say this, though, that, you know, that was the MTV scene, and the music videos that were out were horrible. Just horrible. The music videos were so bad. Music was great. Videos are bad. Yeah. Anyway, on to the next question. All right. What was your favorite cartoon? And what was the worst cartoon? And for me, the only cartoon that there is or ever will be is Looney Tunes, because Bugs Bunny is my man. Bugs Bunny is the cartoon to watch. I would have to say, if there was a bad cartoon, I would put Smurfs on that list. I never got into the Smurfs. Didn't really understand them. So, sorry y'all if you like the Smurfs. I just could not get into them. Okay, on to the next thing is TV shows. What were your favorite and not so favorite TV shows? I'm going to start kind of at the beginning of the decade, because I think Three's Company, I loved Three's Company, and I think that was a carryover from the 70s. MASH was another one that I liked. I don't know, I liked the I mean, it was comedy, you know, it was fun. They were trying to make the best of their situation, and I think that's probably why I liked it so much. And then I liked the military part of it. We watched Dukes of Hazzard a lot. I really liked that, and it wasn't because, oh, you like Bo and Luke Duke, and it wasn't about that. I think it was just, it was funny. They were always getting in trouble, and it wasn't always their fault, and then they were outrunning the police, and it was such a country show. I liked it. Let's see, I also liked Knight Rider, you know, the car that talked to you and it would drive itself, and it had the little light, and what's his face? David Hasselhoff would drive the car into the semi while it was driving down the road, you know, I just thought that was really cool. And it would also come out backwards, and he would talk to it, and he could say, you know, hey kid, come and get me, or whatever, and the car would come to him. I just thought that was super cool. I also liked watching Different Strokes. What you talking about, Willis? Remember that one? And then toward the end of the decade, Star Trek: The Next Generation came out. I'm a Star Wars, Star Trek geek, so I loved Captain Picard. So those were my favorite TV shows, and I really don't have anything for the not so favorite TV shows. I just didn't watch it. I only watched what I could. All right, the next question is movies. So as I just said, I am a Star Wars, Star Trek fan, so all of the movies that came out in the 80s was it Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. I think both came out in the 80s. And oh goodness, I can't remember which Star Treks were out. But yeah, I like the ones with Captain Kirk, the movies with Captain Kirk and Spock and that kind of thing. So I like those. I really loved Footloose when that came out. Just the whole storyline, but also the dancing that Kevin Bacon did in the original Footloose movie. And Top Gun, classic. Just love everything about it. The emotion behind it, the storyline. I think Tom Cruise had something to do with it then too, maybe. I don't know. But just the whole storyline. Again, it's military, and I really liked those kind of movies too. As far as a bad movie, I just didn't watch that. I guess I only watched whatever I watched I liked. Okay, so the next question is fashion. What was the good, the bad, and I'm gonna add the ugly on this one because 80s was so weird with fashion. When you look it up online, you'll see. I know for me, the favorite things that I wanted to have were leg warmers, and they were just, everybody was wearing them. I don't know how long the fad lasted, but I mean, everybody wore them everywhere. You wore them when you worked out. You know, when I went to school, we all had leg warmers, and we wore them, you know, over our jeans. And speaking of jeans, we had the what do you call them? I mean, like now we have jeggings. You know, they look like jeans, but they're like leggings, and you know, we have jeans that are like they fit your leg, they hug your leg, skinny jeans and stuff. And so we have that kind of stuff today. So back then, I actually made my jeans skinny. So if I had jeans that I thought were too big in the leg, then I would alter them, you know, with a pair of scissors and sewing machine, and make them like the jeans that we have today, like, you know, like jeggings and that kind of thing. And I would wear my leg warmers over those. I just thought that was the bomb. The other thing for fashion goes more for hair. Everybody had a perm, and then their hair was like 10 feet tall, or you know, a spiky kind of space age looking, or it was like Princess Diana. You know, it was all like kind of, it was short, but it was all curly feathered. You know, it wasn't the 70s big feather. It was you know, it was like curly, it was permed, and then all of that was feathered. So your whole head was like feathered perm. It was big on the perms, big on the hairspray, Aquanet hairspray. It was caked on the bathroom sink. Yeah, I had that, and mousse and gel and all that stuff. The things about the fashion, I have a really big list for the no-nos of fashion. There was a lot of spandex. Yuck. Spandex, just too much. And the headbands, like the guys would wear the headbands everywhere, the you know, this way, you know, the sweatbands or whatever. whatever. And Speedos swimsuits on men. Sorry, I don't care. They just don't. So yeah, that's the fashion comments I have there. 80s food. Now, I'm not exactly sure if they're just looking for things that I just like to eat, back then when I was, growing up in the 80s, or if it was something that defined the era. But I will say these things that I remember a lot are Tab soda. Do you remember that? It was Coke's Diet Coke before Diet Coke came out, if that makes sense. Tab was the Diet Coke of the day. My stepmom drank that that was like her thing, her drink. It was Tab everywhere. The other thing I remember a lot of, and I don't know if they came on the scene then, were pizza rolls. And now they're just like, yeah, whatever. But those were that was a big deal back then. The pizza rolls were the bomb. You saw them everywhere. They were like a hit. Everybody had to have pizza rolls, school snacks, whatever. They're just really good. And we still have them. We still eat them today. The other thing I remember seeing a lot of, and I don't know if it was popular, but I know that this was defined the era, was the spinach dip in the pumpernickel bread bowl. It was everywhere. You went to a family gathering, Christmas gathering, anytime you had a group get together or a church fellowship or anything like that, there was the spinach dip in the pumpernickel bread bowl. And it was just all the time. And the other thing would have been watermelon, what do they call them? A watermelon bowl, watermelon basket, something where you would cut a watermelon in half lengthwise, and then you would hollow the thing out, and you would make all these little balls of fruit, and then you would dump it back in the watermelon, and you would have the cantaloupe and the honeydew, and you made all these little melon balls, and you put them back in the watermelon bowl, and you probably put blueberries and grapes and strawberries and that kind of stuff all in this thing, and then the watermelon was your bowl. And that was that was the creative thing to do, and everybody was doing it. And the other thing I wrote down was Nestle Quick, and I don't know if that's just something, chocolate milk mix, but the powder mix that came in the can with the little bunny on it, that was something that I really loved, and that was around a lot. Okay, so favorite places to go, and not so favorite places to go. I don't have any negatives for this list, but in my area, I grew up in Michigan, and in the 80s, the favorite place to go and place to hang out for us kids would be the mall. And I don't know if kids still do that really today. I think they do. But the mall was a really big hangout. And back in the 80s, you could just go there and spend all day at the mall and wouldn't have to worry about anything. A lot of times in the mall, we had a big arcade, and we would spend time in the arcade. Of course, we did have a lot of arcades around. Arcades were big, I think, in the 80s. And so the popular thing was to go to the arcade, and we would play Pac-Man, and what was the other one? Centipede, something like that. And we would play, pop in the quarters and sit there and play. Other things that we liked to do were bowling, going to the bowling alley, and just, we all loved going bowling. I was on a bowling league. I don't know if I was doing it in the 80s. I know I was young. I might have stopped when I was 12, because I started going off into music, and music was the direction, a main focus for me. So went roller skating a lot. I was roller skating all the time. I loved it. Other things that we like to do, going to the movie theater. Again, it's another place you could just go to on your own. You could bike everywhere that you wanted to go. When I was growing up in the 80s, I could bike up to there was an ice skating rink in my town too. And so I would, I could go up there with some friends, and, I had my own skates, and I could go in, and you could, pay a small fee and go ice skating for a little while, and I could ride my bike there. Can't really do that in today's times, and we don't have arcades anymore. Now everything's in the house. So we have video games that you can play in the house. But we like to go cruising. If you ever saw the movie Cars, and when Lightning McQueen got the road all nicely paved, and everybody had all of their lights repaired on their shops and their stores, and the whole town was all lit up like it was in its heyday, and everybody was driving down the street. That's kind of what cruising was for us where I grew up, and it was really, I don't know, it just felt like, especially when you were old enough to drive, that was like the thing to do. It was like a rite of passage or something. And we weren't racing up and down the street. You were just cruising. And that's why I loved the movie Cars so much, is when that scene came up and everybody was driving down the street and they were remembering the good times. You know, that was, those are good memories for me. In my hometown, it's kind of like the movie. It's, you know, it's not bright lights anymore. A lot of those original stores are gone, and you know, it's just a street now. But back when I was that age and when I started driving, that was the thing to do at night, and it was so cool. And we just get a bunch of friends together and go and just be stupid. And the other thing that we really liked to do was go to a drive-in. You know, I know drive-ins are still around. I loved going. I don't know if it was just, I don't know what the happy memory there is with that, but I loved going to the drive-in. I guess it's because you were with family. And it was something different. It was not going to the theater. You were sitting in your car. It was different. And we had to have a speaker to hang in the car. Now, when you go to a drive-in, at least the drive-in we have here, you can tune your radio to a specific station and hear the movie inside your car. So you can even go, doesn't matter if it's raining or if it's cold. You know, you've got your car there that you can sit in and be protected, you know, from the elements. So anyway, I just think that's cool. I have a lot of good memories of going to the drive-in. Something else I was going to add, do you remember the phrases that we used in the 80s? Did you guys ever use any of these? Like, gag me with a spoon. No, duh. Righteous. Gnarly. Tubular, totally, you know, don't have a cow, man. But anyway, those are my memories of the 80s, and now you kind of know how old I am because I told you at the beginning what decade that was of my life. I hope that you enjoyed this little walk down memory lane with me. I encourage you to click on the playlist that's in the description box and visit the other channels that have done this collaboration with us. And thank you, Ingrid, from Mommy Mia Homeschool Chronicles, for putting this together. I do love going down memory lane and can't wait to see what everybody else has to share. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.